At the end of your life, what will be your legacy? What will you leave behind for future generations? For the world, join the World Messenger, Izabela Lundberg, each week as she brings you a new distinguished guest from the business, sports, or entertainment world to share their success, their struggles, and their lessons. They will share their insights into current hot topics that affect everyone. Izabela facilitates an intimate, vulnerable environment to find the true value of humanity and real leadership. Are you ready for your legacy? The legacy that matters?
Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Izabela Lundberg here, the World Messenger, and I'm inviting you for another epic episode of Legacy Leader Show. And you guys are for a super special treat today because my guest flew from Europe, did some amazing work on the East Coast, and right now he's in LA, and I cannot wait for him to depict and share what he's up to. His name is Łukasz, and he goes by artistic name Luke. I'm sure you guys heard about it, Rostkowski, and he is award winner composer. He's creating some amazing things, not only as an art director and producer, and to mixing multimedia sounds and creating this amazing fusion of different styles and music, but he also created amazing movement by founding Babel Film Orchestra, and it's integrating different genre music with phenomenal artists around the world. He had in the last 3 years alone over 1,000 musicians playing with him. So without further ado, let's hear from Luke. Luke, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for this meeting, and I'm fine. It's all good. It's
Fantastic.
Usually so good when you're like in California, like when you look at the sun, a lot of problems disappear.
That is great. Yes, because it just gives you the little boost of energy, the neighborhoods, the culture, the arts, but also, as you pointed out, the palm trees and beautiful blue skies always there, right? And
Right.
it's a different energy and a vibe than we see in other parts of the world. Speaking of that, Luke, what brought you to LA? What are you up to? What's going on?
Okay, yeah, a lot of issues, right? Basically, as you mentioned, we are building since like 5, 6, maybe even 7 years an international orchestra, Rebel Babel Ensemble or Film Orchestra, because we have different sections of it. And this band is unique because wherever we go, we always play with local musicians. We always involve local brass bands, like people from marching bands, from school bands, academic bands. And we are trying to join them with like pros, with big artists, big name artists, like fulfilling dreams of these young musicians, because like a lot of them are practicing and they just dream to maybe play with some artists like DJ Qbert, for example, we will perform with in New Orleans in a couple of days. So that's the goal of the orchestra, that we for example, we will merge, we will meet young people from New Orleans, from one of the band there with DJ Qbert, who will come to New Orleans, but also with Hotel Brass Band, who's like Grammy winning band. And that's the main goal. So the main goal is the New Orleans concert at the New Orleans Jazz Museum on December 2nd. But on the way to New Orleans, I visited Los Angeles, California, Venice Beach, a place that I really love. I feel the vibe with this area. I'm raised on like this freedom values and skating, and so we decided to make a musical jam here, November 27th. We are creating an event called Beats for Peace, which is like a part of our festival that we do in Europe, in Sopot, beautiful city of Sopot, which is on the north of Poland. And here we're going to do a little jam, a little presentation of this festival. This festival is called Brasswood, like my t-shirt, because I always wear my ideas. So basically we play 50% of the concerts without electricity, like ecological playing, showing the music, how music sounds without sound system. It's like one of the few opportunities when you can listen to the music without like sound system, like natural vibe of the music, which is also, healing process for the people. And here in LA, we're gonna meet Ukrainian, Polish, and American musicians to play mostly for Ukrainian society, to support them, to show the relevance of this war, of the freedom that they fight, and also to show like big efforts of Poland as a country who is like now hosting like many millions of Ukrainian friends. And that's what we do here. And also we're going to work with amazing skater Brandon Desjardins, who will be doing a jam. We call it Skate Against Hate. So yeah, we are just we are connecting musicians. We will be doing this in Venice Beach, like walking with brass band, playing jazz and hip hop piece compositions like a Piece of Peace of Bill Evans, or a wonderful world of Armstrong, and some other songs that will be rearranged for our brass band Babel ensemble.
Oh my goodness. So let's just depict this, because obviously you created amazing movement with the Babel that has been extremely popular and successful, not only in Poland, but other parts of the Europe. And you're creating peace festivals and an opportunity to actually now, with everything that's going on in Ukraine, to support Ukrainians. But also with your passion, with your talent, with your skills, you're engaging youth and future generation of musicians, if I heard you correctly. And on top of it, some really elite composers or musicians that are also getting involved and creating amazing music presentation and experience for users, obviously either virtually or live. So between New Orleans and LA and skating club and skating for as you said,
against hate, skate against
yes,
hate.
that is huge. That is fantastic. So first of all, I want to kudos you for that. But then let's just kind of depict a little bit more. What is the Babel? Because a lot of people, it's cool name, it's so catchy. But from you as a visionary, how does get created? How did you get into it? And then how did you obviously transcend it now on the global stage with it?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, to talk about this project, because this is like really like deep heart project. Like it's in a shortcut, it's. I had a project once when I was like I've been looping all the beatboxing, like doing the and I was looping that, and like playing alone. I was playing alone with a lot of digital, instruments and a lot of technology. And I was going out of, when I finished, I was going on to the green rooms, and I was like usually sad, and I realized that I was sad because I was alone on the stage, and this project was like kind of experiment, because I did a lot of projects with musicians as well, but then I decided to do like total solo project. And I realized that I'm very sad, and that this project was a generally disaster in my career. I treat it as a disaster because it was beatboxing. Like I changed the course, because earlier I was doing a lot of projects which were connecting history with music, because I was like telling, for example, Polish history through the music, like using radio archives which were scratched into the music. For example, we did like kind of educational music for people, and it was like massive. I got some awards for it. But then I went into beatbox, and like I had some TV concerts, a lot of depths because of this project. But the good thing of this project was that I realized that I love playing with people, and I changed my course. And since that moment, I was looking for some, I was thinking about some project when I can play with many musicians, and when we can joke like that like I always had a lot of musicians and many problems with instruments. Some of the musicians didn't come, some instruments failed. So I was dreaming about the project even when 5 or 10 musicians won't come, it will be still great. So, like here comes Babel, the orchestra that plays concerts with 30, 40, 50, 100 musicians. But that's a joke, of course, because there is much more serious part of this project. We have started this project in 2015. So it was 1 year after the Russian aggression on Ukraine, the first one that wasn't so popular. That was like weird. And I was very interested, what is happening? So I started reading about it. We were experiencing also in Europe a lot of polarization and, like separating moods, like we had a Brexit coming, right? And I was wondering what is happening with, like with the, with humankind, like what is happening with us as we fought like 2000 years, we were creating this peace in Europe, like so many nations, French with British, like Germans with Polish, we all fight for so many years, so many victims of it. And we finally created some peace, which is not a perfect solution, but it's like really unique because it was the first time for 50 years when Europe doesn't fight, And I mean, of course, we had absolutely Yugoslavic issue, so we cannot say that it hasn't occurred, but still, it was one of the most peaceful episodes. I know it's hard to hear for you because I know how terrible war in Yugoslavia was, but still, like that's the key. So I was thinking this piece is so crucial, and it's so gentle, and it's so fragile. So we have to take care about it. So I was thinking about kind of orchestra that plays for peace, for dialogue. We as a Polish people, we are a specific country between the Western culture and Eastern culture. We had this amazing round table in 1989, which was like the beginning of solidarity started earlier, yeah. But that was the first Polish, peaceful revolution because we had so many uprisings, so many blood, like on the streets, and so many victims. And I thought that this is something unique, that this dialogue that we have, created, and we amazed the world with this dialogue is something valuable that we should share. So Rebel Babel is based on these values of dialogue, of trying to secure and show the weaker cultures, which are often eaten by these big cultures,
Yes.
About the diversity of cultures. So we started with showing beauty of different languages, not only English language, but rap from Sweden, rap from Spain, rap from Poland, right? And showing the beauty of rap. But then it grew to a much bigger project, right? To a project that is, gathering musicians to talk about peace, to talk about how can we merge our cultures in a dialogue? How can we be consistent? How can we create a community, but also saving these unique elements of every culture, right? This diversity, this beautiful diversity. So that's, sorry, because my reminder called. So that's the main goal now, right? We are traveling. We've been to Barcelona on Periferia Beats a couple of weeks ago, where we talk how culture can influence the peace between nations. I talk about a very difficult relations with Russia. For example, we started many years ago, we were trying to build an orchestra from German, Ukrainian, and Russian musicians, or just, for example, Ukrainian and Russian musicians. And it was so hard because there is such a big propaganda and, like Iron Curtain still on the Russian culture. We couldn't get to any orchestras. We were writing emails. The Kaliningrad is just, like I can see Kaliningrad almost from my window in Gdynia, in Free City, because it's like 200 kilometers, and we couldn't get there. There was no response, So, and a couple of years later, we have this tragedy. We have this vast conflict between Russia and the rest of the world, yeah. But it happened earlier, like many years ago. They were cut off of the contact with the rest of the world. There was a couple of orchestras. They had a right and they had a legacy to travel around the world, and the rest of the society, it was so hard to reach them, So that's what we try to do. We try to get to these people and break the borders and do some common concerts, performances.
Wow, such amazing journey and a great vision. I love your heart and I love where you're coming from, how you saw opportunity and also saw what's missing and then wanted to do something about it and leveraging, utilizing creativity and building the movement, which you did so successfully, but in the same time for all the right reason to make a positive impact. And I can't agree more with you. Peace is so fragile. And right now, what we're seeing in Europe breaks my heart. What we're seeing also in Poland with magnitude of refugees that are there and how much that just changed the landscape even of your own country. It's just heartbreaking to see human pain and suffering onto that level.
Yeah.
And as you said, when we expand further, we'll look at other parts of the world. And I love how you use music as the way to connect and bring us together. So do you mind sharing,
Thank
since
you.
you had a chance to work with some amazing Oscar-winning composers from Poland, and then also with some really big names, but it's not about bragging, but please brag, but more about also how big names and people that accomplish so much also have this beautiful shared vision. So do you mind sharing a little bit about those experiences, that no matter where people are and how much maybe you can be recognized and awarded, ultimately we kind of seek all the same. We'll look after the same things, don't you think?
Yes, it's not an easy thing now because I have to be honest that a lot of artists are looking mainly on the incomes, on popularity. It's not easy to create a music about peace, to be honest. Like it's that there are many much better sales topics, and that's pretty sad sometimes because we knock too many doors and not always we can involve some people. And I know that a lot of people are just focused on like different values, but still I'm focusing on the positives, and there's a lot of people who we managed to involve. The project is only 6 years now. We started it in 2015-16 as a project for European Capital of Culture, Wrocław, 2016, because my city, when I lived there, Wrocław had a title of European Capital of Culture, and we started this orchestra there. But basically, yeah, there is of course a lot of great success. I think the biggest success, I'll tell about some names in a minute, but for me, the biggest success is just the name, the number of the people, because I'm not sure, what did you say on the beginning, if you said 1,000 or thousands, because we managed to join 11,000 people, together.
Wow.
11,000 musicians, so that's the value for me, that, like, it's a really lot of people from different orchestras from Greece, from France, from Spain, from Germany, from States. And of course, this is just the beginning. I think this is just the beginning because this is like a, how do you call it, like a snowball, right? And
Yes.
it's growing. And first 3 years were very difficult and tough because it overgrown me. I had healthy problems because we didn't have like institution, we didn't have a building, we didn't have an offices and people. So that's what we are struggling now. We're trying to create a structures of this project so it could develop further, right? But of course, like we managed to involve many fantastic musicians. We have recorded a single with a fantastic Californian rapper, Zion I. He passed away last year, unfortunately. Now we just recorded. We did our recordings with Hotic Brass Band, as I mentioned. We work with DJ Qbert. We created a special program of music of Polish Oscar composers. We have created a program with music of film music. I just created a special section of the Babel Orchestra because I love film. I'm just like I'm in love with film culture since since I was a kid, and we developed this kind of direction of film scoring and like working in the film industry, because we have a lot of resources in many countries. When we can, for example, if someone needs, for example, like Balkan brass, we can organize that. If someone needs like French brass or like some Spanish style of music, we have these contacts. So we are working in a film industry, and I think the biggest like success and something that that makes me proud is that we work now with the creators of Loving Vincent, the first painted feature film, which was like Oscar nominated. You know, you have some call, right?
My
It's okay.
apologies. I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry. I will cut this off. My apologies. Sorry,
That's no problem.
I turned it
It's no
off.
problem. Yeah,
Please
it's no problem.
carry on.
I'll repeat. So one of the most beautiful things, and something that we're proud of, is that we now working on an amazing film as a Babel Film Orchestra. We do that with a breakthrough studio with Hugh Welchman and Dorota Kobiela. They were Oscar nominated for world first painted feature film, Loving Vincent. That was like painted frame by frame. And now we are preparing The Peasants, this is like a story about Polish society in the 18th century. That is a novel. That is a Nobel awarded novel by Władysław Reymont, and this is a beautiful project where we, show the power of women and problems of society, and we connect music with the paintings, with 18th century paintings and costumes and choreography, and we do that for 3 years already, or 4 years. The premiere will be next year probably. And we are recording like Polish musicians, Ukrainian, Belarusian musicians. We are creating a kind of Slavic orchestra for this film, like showing the beauty of Slavic music. And there's also some musicians from Serbia as well, so that will be a really huge, fast project.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So you not only created the movement with Babel, but you also created obviously film orchestra and amazing alliances and relationships with European countries with their distinct brass sounds and culturally sounding brass orchestra that you can compose. And now you're having film coming out with music that you are guys composing together. That's amazing. I just love the vision. I love the passion and how this started. So if you don't mind, just go back when you were a little boy for a second, so that everybody that watch and listens can really see what is possible. You obviously created something amazing that you are living and leading your legacy, and obviously have something to also leave behind with amazing work that you already do. But for everybody to get discouraged and want to know and dying to learn, how did you started all of this early on in your life? And how did you orientate yourself towards the music and collaboration and creating the movement?
Yeah, that's a bit surprising story, because basically I was always I love some piano playing and guitar playing, but it was like amateur playing, like I had some ideas, but I never believed in myself, I'm a guy from, like pretty good family. My father was a lawyer, my mother was a medical doctor, so, and we had a really decent life in small city in Poland. But I was like, I lived in a small city, somewhere in Western Poland. So I didn't believe in myself, I was just playing some guitar. I had some ideas for compositions, but I thought, well, what is this idea? Who's going to listen to that? Who needs that? And basically, my father was a lawyer, so he had a firm that I was supposed to, lead when I graduate. So I graduate law. I finished law. I did law in Wrocław University 5 years, but that was like disaster for me. I felt like I don't belong there. I was like, that was very hard time for me, to be honest. And I was looking for something for me, like I was thinking that my world is film, because I wanted to go for, I wanted to do some film studies, but I didn't have this courage, I didn't have this courage to do that. And I finished this studies, but in the meantime, when I was studying, I knew that I have some buffer, because my parents were supporting me as they said, as long as you're going to study, we're going to support you, financially somehow. So I had some time and space to experiment. So I was like studying like 7-8 hours a day, and in the afternoon and in the evening I was going to some theater, workshops, and I learned, and I meet a lot of great people there. And yeah, that was the story. Once I had a most dramatic and terrible day in my life when my parents were divorcing. I lost my girlfriend, and I was on this university feeling that this is not my road, and my friends were somewhere else in different cities, and that was the moment. Like I lost everything, and I realized that I'm going in the wrong direction. And I just remember that I was like, having very dark episode of my life with a lot of alcohol, etc. And I was like I started writing something. I found some guy who was playing some instrument. I thought, let's try to do that. Let's try to record it. And yeah, I don't know, like my friends supported me very much at this stage, because what I wrote and what I composed was absolutely terrible. But they said, hey, this is amazing, you gotta do that. Like not every of friends, of course, but I have few of them who were really supporting me, and I believe, okay, let's try. And then it started, and it just goes. Like when I started composing, I say when you find yourself, when you are listening to your heart, the world will support you. Like when you
Yes.
when you are not when you are not, how do you call it, like when you're afraid of something and you are what's the name of that, coward. Yeah, when you're not a coward, and you have this courage to listen to your heart, the world will support you. Like, and I had this. Like I start meeting proper people, proper musicians. I got some invitation for the theater. I started doing some musical for the musicals in Wrocław theater. I had a really great support, and then I started my first band. Then the band collapsed, and I started doing my solo career. But like there was this moment when I got some first offer, some money for composing music, and that was the moment when I decided that I'm, because I was working in this law firm, but I decided the first money that I earned, I decided, okay, I spend this money for, like fulfilling my dreams, like going for, like to chasing my dreams. And I moved to another city. I started composing, like gathering some people. And that was the first stage of it, right? Because I did some music, I did some awards, but after that, many years later, because I do that for 20 years, and 6 years ago I started Babel. As I said, I felt that I felt that I'm still looking for something that is. I didn't feel like fulfilled, like I felt that it's like doing, because I started to rap. I was rapping a lot, and I still rap a lot. I do concerts, like as a rapper, but I felt that it's not enough, that I need, like that I need more to show what is inside me, to, like to transfer my ideas. And that is music
Express
composing.
yourself.
Yes, express myself. And that is music composing. And music has no borders, because, languages have borders. And that's what I thought, like we're going to use music to make worlds better, because, there's not too many artists nowadays like Bono from U2 who are having the mission. And I think this is very important, because when you have fans, when you have, that was another important moment when I was playing concert, and like I started playing concerts for thousands of people, and then these thousands of people are like they are using their mouth to say my lyrics. They are shouting, they are singing my lyrics. I felt so responsible for them. That was like a shock. I said, oh my God, like I have some influence. This is like small influence. It's not like, like Beyonce influence, but it's like a small influence, but it's important, so I feel I should make it right. I should try to do something good for the world, because the world is amazing, like I love life and living, and, like supporting other nations and communicating and other people. And I thought I have to do something like with that. So that's how it started.
Amazing journey again, and everybody watching and listening to Luke, thank you for sharing that vulnerability about arriving where you are today, because we have to kind of discover self, right? And through this amazing self-discovery, look at what just happened that allows you to follow your instincts and then make a magic happen, which
Yeah.
again, it's just, as they say, rest of its history, because it's just going to grow bigger and better. But with that in mind, you mentioned major two events that are happening right now that are going to be in LA. So do you mind sharing first a little bit about that Skater Without Hate event? I'm curious when it's going to happen, and whoever can come and join, because we're going to be able to share this information. I want to make sure everybody that is in LA knows about it and they can come and join you.
Yeah, thank you for that. 27th, 11th, November 27th. It's a Sunday. We will meet on Venice Skate Park in this, Broadwalk here, and we will have a brass band, brass band probably with a fantastic drummer, Matthew Ring, our American commander drummer who helps us in state so much. And we're going to play a lot of compositions, as I mentioned, some kind of jazz, hip hop compositions connected with peace, relevant songs about peace. Also some of our compositions, and we're just gonna cruise. We're just gonna walk and play for the skaters, there are some drummers sometimes on the beach. We want to play with the drummers, so we're just gonna be cruising around the Venice skate park, and then we move to Erwin Hotel rooftop, where we're gonna play with the DJ Potira and some live instruments, and we're gonna meet on the rooftop. We're gonna have also Ukrainian musicians, and we want them to perform with us. We will have Juliana Nikitina, who is going to sing with us some of the Ukrainian song. And we also work with Polish consulate, with Ukrainian institutions here to support the society. There will be option to support them because now it's a dramatical situation there. It's important to say that Russians are attacking all the infrastructure, electrical infrastructure. So they just try to freeze them, So we are now trying to help them not to get freezed, and that's the main message. The name of it is Beats for Peace. It's also, as I mentioned, connected with our Brasswood Festival. We call it Brasswood California as a kind of little addition of this support festival. But it's going to be mainly a jam, and then the DJ set with instruments on the rooftop.
Fantastic. So kind of doing two-pronged approach for everybody in LA on the November 27th. We have
2:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m.
2:30 p.m. Perfect. We're going to have a link in all the details sharing also as this gets released, so that everybody can also be invited and also meet you in person, Luke, but also hear you perform as well other performers. And what I love about it, you bringing your skating board community, and it's Skate Without Hate, which I absolutely love, the whole premise of that. And then also you helping Ukrainians with Ukrainian musicians and others to help to fundraise in order for to help, as you mentioned, Ukrainians not to freeze, because right now, yes, major infrastructures are being damaged, and it's horrible, grueling winter. If people don't understand how cold can get there and how bad can get very quickly for people around in
this is traumatic. This is really bad. We live in Poland and we know how cold it can get there, and just imagining that you don't have any source of energy is just traumatic. It's terrible.
Yes. And everybody that cannot be able to come, obviously we'll have a links where they can participate in donation and supporting, and also sharing your beautiful music and instrument, performances that you have with all those great instruments, as you mentioned earlier. So with that in mind, that's one of the main reasons I feel like you're there in LA, right? Which is super exciting to see you coming and giving back.
Yeah. We also have some meetings about, this coming project Peasants, as I mentioned, because, I will have a music release probably with one of the fantastic labels. I cannot say yet who, but that we are talking about it as well. So yeah, there's, also visiting friends here. So that's the main reason of LA. And then we moved to New Orleans. Yeah, and that's another element, because we worked with this amazing New Orleans Jazz Museum for many years. When you Google Rebel Babel Tribute for Peace or Tribute for DJ Premier or Rebel Babel New Orleans Jazz Museum, we did a lot of projects during pandemic. We couldn't meet, we couldn't come here, so we were just recording projects with American and European musicians together. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube on my Look films. And now we're going to finally meet, and we are doing a jazz edition of this concert. Wow. It's called Jazz for Peace. So it's specifically jazz. We're going to play with legendary drummer Helen Riley, who is like connected with Lincoln Orchestra of Wynton Marsalis in New York, and with Hot Brass Band, and a lot of different fantastic musicians will be with us there. As I mentioned, Polish DJ Dex, DJ Qbert. So we'll mix the hip hop and jazz music, and also a lot of piece compositions.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm just super thrilled for you, because again, when you serve, when you're helping others, things also, as you said earlier, opens up and start helping yourself in ways you never imagined. So I hope all those meetings are fruitful, and the label that you are trying to close, as well as obviously your film production and everything else that is coming, as you said, next year. So everyone watching, listening, it's a lot going on, and we want to make sure that all the information, immediate information is of activities in LA, and we'll also be sharing activities in New Orleans, so people can come and see you there. And then also how they can follow you virtually. What would you suggest for everybody watching and listening, where they should go to learn more about you, and also join the movement and see which cities you're coming next, and what they can do to participate in this beautiful world peace Rebel Bubble vision?
Yes, thank you. Basically, our places in internet are just Rebel Babel. So Instagram Rebel Babel, Facebook Rebel Babel. My Facebook and Instagram is L.U.C.official. It's like Luke, but with dots. And I have also our YouTube. We have on Look Films YouTube where we publish a lot of videos. And like keep following because sometimes we do a concerts when everybody can participate. For example, in Sopot, in our festival Brasswood, we are organizing workshops with people. We are meeting in the park. Everyone can print and download the score music sheets and just come and play with us. And we just create this opportunity for everyone to be an orchestra. So there's a lot of situations where we can play together. And if someone has some, like festival or nice place where we could just play with the local musicians and organize some unique concert, because every concert we do is like prepared, unique. I don't think we ever play to the same concert. Like there's always some local musicians there, and then like we would be honored to come and visit probably.
That's fantastic, Luke. I mean, I just want to say kudos. I really am so impressed with what your vision is and how this movement is creating and continues to grow, and then how you are consistently being you by trying to make a positive impact and figuring out ways and avenues to collaborate. A lot of listeners watching and listening this now should take a note how you create the movement. And for piece of advice for anyone that is also looking to follow their dreams or their passion and also create tremendous movement, what would you recommend? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think it's important to sometimes to focus not only on ourselves, because I was focused on myself for a very long time. And then I thought, okay, I have a lot. I really have a lot. I have a fantastic woman and fantastic kid, like I have a fantastic fans, maybe not millions of them, but, like very, very high quality people, with big hearts and, really great culture. And it's important to think, like what can we do for the world, like what can we do for others, and try to find some balance between, like doing something for yourself, but also for the world, because the world is amazing. Like there's so many fantastic people, and like we could talk much more, but you have probably your business. I have to go in a minute as well, because there's so many other things that we could talk about the ecology. Like Rebel Babel is a very ecological project. Now we just focus much more on peace because we have this war. But like there's so much to do for the planet, and we will definitely develop it. So I would just say, like looking into your heart, believe in people, think how can your skill make worlds better. Like that's what I'm thinking sometimes. I still learn every day, so the humbleness is also important here. And some infinity faith in people, like because so many people let me down, but I still believe in people, in humanity. So I think that's very important. And also creating a good team, finding people who are thinking in a similar way and trying to take care of them. What is not easy, especially if you're an egoist like I am, unfortunately. So it's not easy, despotic sometimes, even in the visions. But team is very important. So greetings for all people working with me on this project. It's fantastic musicians and producers.
That's brilliant. And last question before I let you run. What would you like your legacy to be? As I mentioned earlier, you're already living it and you're already leading with it, which is obvious. And obviously you already have created amazing legacy thus far. But in the bucket list and all of those things, now that you know more and you more self-discover and you know what's your true calling, what would you like to be known for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it would be nice to be known as a person who has connected like hundreds of thousands of musicians together. That would be amazing. It would be fun to be recognized as a person that helped a lot of young musicians to like motivate them for playing. To build this crazy orchestra. That is like pretty unique and innovative, but also that it just breaks the walls. It just we are just next to the wall.
Yes.
Symbolic one, bricks.
Yes.
So that like I don't know, like hopefully create some really important connections. I hope someday we'll be able. Now it's hard to imagine that because like world hates Russia now, but I think that there are also good people there. And I hope that we will be able someday like play all together, because I call that all humanity is one orchestra. When we play together, the world could be a fantastic philharmonic. If we don't play together, we have a chaos, terrible chaos and falses. And I would like to be known as a guy who changed the world into nice philharmony.
Yay, that's fantastic. And you're already working on it. So we were definitely here to support you, Luke, and all of your phenomenal efforts. And again, everybody watching and listening, we're going to post the links, how you can engage, see him, greet him in LA and also New Orleans and future events. So Luke, it was absolutely pleasure to have you here with us and share about not only immediate upcoming events, but also your heart, your vision, and what you're doing to make tremendous difference and positive impact right away with Ukraine and beyond for the rest of the world. So
thank you. Thank you very much, Izabela, for this meeting. And I thank you for what you are doing for your engagement. So once again, thank you. Please feel invited on our Brasswood Festival, 29th of July 2023 in beautiful Sopot, Free City, which is also an amazing place on the north of Poland. Feel invited, take your friends, come to our magical wood where we create a better world.
Thank you for listening to Legacy Leader Show. If you enjoyed the content and had a positive experience, then please leave us a positive rating. In addition, leave us a positive review whenever you are listening on whatever platform there might be. Make sure your friends and family also know about the benefit and value that we provide and what we have to offer. Cheers.